Hey, this is Dale Schweeman with the Schwee View. It is 10:36. I am 6 minutes late. I understand my testing actually worked. I wasn't getting any feedback on this end, but we are running the show tonight. Topic, I want to go back over my last two actual shows, one of abortion and one of the pledge. Last night's show was real good. I got some very good feedback. Again, if anybody wants to call in, my shows start 10:30-ish. I can no longer guarantee it's 10:30. Sometimes the program's ready to go and everything's running at before 10:30. But some nights I'm sitting here bored because I can't get my electronics to go. Tonight we're ready. I understand sound is going. We're all good. Now, last night I talked about the pledge, and I received some feedback from one of my friends. This guy's name's Charles. I met him 20 something years ago in some very adverse conditions. This guy and I, we've had some pretty good mental clashes, some very good debates, healthy debates over our different points of view on almost everything in life. Now, he watched the show last night and he conversed with me today. And I consider this guy, like I said, his name's Charles. I consider this guy potentially one of the smartest people I've encountered. Really, really good guy. Now, he texted me and we conversed today about my point last night, and he made an excellent point. He said to pledge to a flag, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't want to break out and read everything. To pledge to a flag is ridiculous because we have a constitution in which we are supposed to tie ourselves to, and the flag is nothing. And I so wholly agree with him. Okay, but this is where I differ, because I 100% agree with him that we are to pledge our allegiance to the actual Constitution, not the flag. And he brought up some very good points about how people have died for the flag. And I really wish I could get him to call in and we could have actual conversations on the show, because this man, he is outstanding with his point and counterpoint. However, I agree, our allegiance is actually to the Constitution. Now, the Constitution has changed over a couple of centuries, but it's always changed for the better as we look back in time. But at the time that it was written, and as the time has gone on, each generation has saw the Constitution as being perfect in its ways, and they abide by it. Now, the flag, I understand, and I agree with pledging allegiance to the flag, because what it does is it is a daily reminder of our Constitution. And the big crying shame is that very few people have ever actually read the Constitution once, let alone multiple times, to understand what's really in that document. Because that document is really awesome. It's confusing, but it's awesome. And you can see why. When you read the original Constitution and you live in the time we live in, and you look back and you can see why that Constitution needed to be changed as it grows, as we as a country grow, as we learn how our mistakes were, as we learn how the mistakes of the founding fathers were. However, we have to give respect to the fact that the founding fathers did what they thought was best at the time, because that's how they lived. That's what they knew. And as we live today, in 50 to 100, maybe 150 years from now, they're going to look back at the things we think are so right now. They're going to think back and say, what were they thinking? Okay, so we have to give that respect to the learning curve. Whereas I agree, we don't pledge allegiance to the flag, but that flag ties us to the Constitution, and it gets people to understand. And that's something else, that when people protest and they burn the flag and they kneel for the national anthem, because they're protesting it. Here's the thing, that flag in it of itself is a reminder that protests are a way of life. That flag came about, our nation came about because of protests. Okay? And so we can't be mad at the flag. We can't hate the flag. Anybody who lives in this time, especially in our race battle situation, in our civil rights situation, whether it be civil rights for gender differences, for sexual preference differences, for race differences, for whatever differences you may have, what we need to do is understand that that flag is what it represents us, to give us hope for change, because so many people have fought for that flag, because that flag stands for change. That flag stands for those of you who are oppressed, those of you who were repressed throughout the generations of oppression. Individuals look to that flag for hope. Look to that flag for change. Look to that national anthem for hope and change. That's why we pledge allegiance to this flag, because this flag ties us back to the Constitution, and the Constitution as a whole says we have hope. The amendments say we have room for growth and change for the better, because it was no more than the ink had dried on the signatures of the Constitution, in which the Bill of Rights were already in work. The changing of the Constitution, the amendments to the original Constitution were already in place before the ink dried on that Constitution. That's why we have to have hope. We have to have faith in that better times are always going to come. And it's not the flag or the national anthem that we should be mad at. And we should never be mad. I embrace protest. I embrace individuals that will do the peaceful protest. I already did a show on the NFL's Kneel Down. I embrace that because it is peaceful and it makes a point and it has a purpose and it had the right roots. But we have diverted away from its original point and it's turned it into politics. We've lost focus on what the true goal was with that protest. So I still go by, that's why our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag does not need the words of one nation under God, because we are one nation that is indivisible when we look at each other as equals and as wholes. Okay? So that's what I'm going to close up. I love Charles. I love his comments. I love his feedback. If he was on the show right now, he would be giving me great counterpoints to make me have to think and rethink and explain my views. Charles is awesome. Okay? I'm going to now go into, we have had tremendous off-camera debates coming in about my abortion point. Now, my point was that I believe the purpose now for trying to ban abortion doesn't have to do with what politicians is doing, throwing up smoke screens. Their points are just trying to confuse us like they always do, trying to get on our heartstrings, when in reality I really think and feel 100% that these politicians are only trying to ban abortion in order to promote a stronger and a more numerous I won't say a stronger, but a more numerous white population so we don't lose our majority. That's what I truly believe the purpose, their reasoning behind trying to ban abortion. But I'm going to divert from that. Now, as you can tell by looking at me, I'm a little bit older, but I have a child on the way. Okay? And my wife and I have spoke on this. And her and I are both in the belief of pro-choice. Her and I both are personally pro-life. We would not abort. However, I do believe everybody has the choice. They have that right to this choice. And when they bring in the scientific part and the religious part, that God creates this miracle of conception, I agree. I don't dispute that. And the heartbeat may start at 5 or 6 weeks. We've already had a ultrasound at 7 weeks. We heard the heartbeat. It's awesome. This is where we had a miscarriage a year ago. And this is where I see things in a little different way. That abortion was devastating for me. It did hurt her, and it probably hurt her as much as it hurt me. But I can't feel her feelings. But I know it devastated me. But here's what I've learned. And I watched her through a previous pregnancy, and now I'm watching her through our current pregnancy. Conception is a wonderful thing. It's a miracle. But are all babies supposed to be born? I can't say yes to that. And if we want to bring in the God factor, I will use that to endorse my thoughts and my feelings. If every conception was meant to come to full term, God would not have made it to where women have to go through so much agony during the development of this child. And I'm going to say it, break down real simple. Any person who thinks a pregnant woman from early conception to later, even into the second trimester, if you think having the nausea and puking that a woman has to go through during those times is not a huge potential problem to cause a miscarriage, you're not understanding things very well. I've been sick a few times, and I know what it takes for my body to have to evacuate my stomach contents, what it takes for that abdomen to have to go through to puke. And these women have to do this. Any and every woman that goes through this stands a chance, a huge chance of having a miscarriage. I'm sorry. To me, that's kind of clear that even in God's realm, even in the religious world, not every child is guaranteed or even meant to be carried full term. Now, people will say, who is allowed to decide for God? Well, that's where our country and our pledge and our Constitution come back in. Because our country, that Constitution says everybody, not just a chosen number, but everybody is created equal. And it took us a few decades, up to a century and a half, and even in some minds, we're still not. We still don't look as all people as equal. Okay? But the bottom line is all people are equal. And it doesn't matter. We started off saying all people were equal as long as you weren't black. Okay? But it took us a while to get understanding that, yes, we are wrong. We made some amendments to the Constitution. It took us a few decades longer to have to really work that out to convince even more people. We still aren't all convinced. So we still got a long way to go with that. But my point here is, just because you're in America doesn't mean you worship God or even the same God as the next person. And if your religious beliefs are one way, that doesn't mean the next person's religious beliefs are the same way. And our Constitution and our pledge to be indivisible, this is why religion should not be in that pledge, because we should be indivisible no matter what our religions are. We need to understand that the person sitting next to us has just as many rights, and their rights and their beliefs of how to exercise those rights are just as good as yours. They're just as right as yours. Now, with that being said, I am pro-choice at the same time I'm pro-life. My personal opinion is pro-life. But my respectful opinion as an American is pro-choice. Because as an American, I have to respect the people that live next door to me as much as I respect the people that live 3,000 miles to the west of me. And I cannot, as an American that respects the Constitution of the United States, tell them what they should do based on what I think I would do. I cannot make them do that. I might counsel them, but I can't make them, not in all honesty and true respect of calling myself an American. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is an American issue. I've seen on Facebook where Republicans are trashing Democrats and Democrats are trashing Republicans because they're heathenists. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm an American. I believe in the flag. I believe in the pledge. And I believe in the Constitution and its amendments. And I could go on all night for this because I have tremendous passion in this part of my love for America, the freedom. Not every country can somebody get on here and speak on the things I speak on. Speak on the fact that I believe abortion is now funneled and driven by a bunch of older white men that are just secretly trying to promote the white majority to be maintained. Yes, I do believe that. No other country can I do that. Now, I might get chastised by some friends. I might get chastised by a lot of enemies, but I don't care. Because I have the right to do that. Just the same as another individual has the right to choose what they want to do. Okay, this is Dale Schweeman with the Schweeview, and like I said, I am an American. I am a citizen in the United States. And remember, you can't have the US of A without us. Hit the like buttons, hit the share buttons, and by all means, please hit the subscribe buttons. We got a good show going. I thank you. I will see you again on Monday night. Will be my next show, Monday night at 10:30. Thank you very much. Dale Schweeman with the Schweeview.